And then being as obviously this is the most wide up major in terms of what the semis and the final could be, because you have the joke is Cloud9 didn't make it, but if Cloud9 had been there, there'd be like fucking 7 teams could make like the semis or something. It'd be ridiculous. But even without them, obviously there's a world where you absolutely could have the s1mple versus ZywOo in the final. You could have Navi against Vitality. These are 2 teams that can make the final. I will say the only downside of that one is, one, on the Navi side, what has tilted me so much ever since they won the Blast with SDY is Navi only looks fucking bad, and so you go, right, I'm finally going to be out on them now, fuck them. And that's when they do like the quarter and the semi run, you're like, oh, maybe they're back, because like s1mple actually does play well again now. But then at the same time, if you ever think like at this last tournament now, like, well, they should now be able to win the tournament, like then they'll just shit their bed again. So I do feel like Navi's probably one of the hardest teams to actually have faith to predict they'll go far. But if they do, let's be real, they do have s1mple, they do have some amazing players, that would be a banger. Obviously ZywOo's never done anything in the playoffs of majors, because for whatever reason all his Vitality teams just sort of flunk the majors. Who knows why? Not really any reason. They have loads of veterans. So I don't even blame totally him. I pointed out on Twitter, like obviously his stats do go way down in the main portion of majors. I'll just add the caveat for people who don't get it. I'm comparing him to s1mple, the most goated player ever who has the godlike stats. Understand, every other star player also goes down at the majors, and actually his level, I think he'd average like a 1.17 rating or something over like, that's pretty good still, guys. Like, spoiler, that's probably better than like Sharks, fucking a lot of great players that you're thinking have won majors. Like, so it's not the ZywOo shit, but the key thing for me is it's obviously dark horse these 2 teams would both be in the final, but it'd be a fucking sick way to end the game on the like individual player angle. And by the way, even though it wouldn't change it, obviously it'd get mad spicy if somehow ZywOo won that one, wouldn't it? Right, against s1mple in the final. That would be like the dream, basically. Because if people don't know, that's one of the downsides of team sports. Because you're trying to make an individual rivalry in a team game, it's not actually that often they're going to meet, etc. Like, if people don't know, like, people might not actually know this. Like, Messi and Ronaldo never played in like a European Champions League final. They won loads of them, by the way, but they just never played in the final. It's just never happened. So, or maybe there was one. I think there was maybe one like when like Ronaldo's at Man United or something. But like, they actually don't have the face-offs often as you want. So in a way, that would be cool. Imagine them 2 in the final. That would be so hype, wouldn't it? And by the way, it'd be in France, for fuck's sake. Imagine that. That'd be insane, wouldn't it?
That's true. Yeah, I want Vitality to be there just for like the atmosphere.
Would be hype as fuck, crazy. I guarantee.
Yeah. And like Apex, you already get emotions from him in like a group stage. Like, imagine like in front of this crowd. But the only problem for me is just like, you know, that meme, it's like the SWAT team and then it's like the clown snuck in the middle. Like, NPL in playoffs, I feel like it's just going to be such a liability for Navi. I feel like he's going to crumple up like a piece of paper, and I just don't want to see, like, I want this so bad. You just made me realize.
You just made me realize at the same time as we're doing best storylines, some of them contain the worst. So here's the worst storyline ever if you want people to respect CSGO as elite esport launders. So who won the last 2 majors? Norbert and NPL. It's like, close CS down. I think that's enough internet for today. Like, listen, I don't.
A team game.
I know exactly. Like, look, on the one hand, I want s1mple to win another major launders, but if it means NPL has to win, I don't know. Actually, you know, I might have to give that one up. That's some porn stars level shit. What? Best I can do is Norbert. Hey, Gabe, can fucking Guardian and Nico win majors? Best I can do is Norbert and NPL. Like, sounds brilliant. All right, okay.
Yeah. Okay, with Bit. Okay, he had this like an unreal rookie year, whatever, won the major, but he was a superstar in the We Play Academy League. And for me, MPL was like, he was never even the best player on Navi Junior ever. Like, he was like, even Hedrick was better than him. So for him to get that call up there was like a sour taste in my mouth. I got like swapped out Hedrick for him because like they forced Hedrick to op when Monacy left the academy team. Then he liked opping, but like, I feel like he would have been fine rifling if you asked him to.
They should have just had Hedrick play for
Navi.
It's just obvious.
He's clear. He's a better player, man. He's way better. So this move is strange. Honestly, I like Blade obviously has done so much with player development. But I mean, I guess it doesn't mean he can't miss. And I feel like with the MPL move, it was sort of like, what did he see here that, you know, we couldn't see?
By the way, that's the one thing. Sadly, by the way, I know Blade, and he would never do this. He actually is like a robot. He doesn't seem to like really have mad emotions. He doesn't care about proving people wrong on the internet. But my dream would be that Lawrence, that Navi actually somehow does win the major, and then Blade goes on a Richard Lewis style, like, "How's my NPL today, dickhead? How's the greatest coach of all time today, dickhead?" Because imagine that. Imagine if Blade actually started talking shit, like just messages at Sonic, like I don't even need IGLs to win these motherfuckers, mate. Like, oh, it'd be so sick, wouldn't it? Imagine that if he turned heel right at the end of the game.
That'd be hilarious.
Because the best thing is, if you know Blade and s1mple, right? Look, if they win the major, they probably will just force themselves to pretend they actually respect NPL. But they're such twats. I could even see them like winning, and then in the interview being like, "Yeah, I'm actually surprised we did win because some players were making a lot of mistakes." And they're so bad they would even do that in like the speech or something. You know, like when they win, like s1mple's so brutal. You know, I mean, some of my teammates almost let us down, but at the end we did win the game. Like, you've just won the major, bro. Please just let this go.
That's the one thing with Navi where it's actually a little bit hard to believe in them winning this, because I think they understand that their team is flawed. But a couple of the other teams here recognize that this is probably as good as it's going to get for them. I mean, I'm talking like Heroic. This is as good as it's getting. G2, they took that long break. It's been almost a month since they're even playing a match. Like, they should have worked on everything.
Vitality too. Yeah.
Vitality are feeling pretty good right now. FaZe still have the lineup that was able to complete the Grand Slam and win the last major. So, like, I mean, there's a lot of reasons that those teams feel like it makes sense for them to win, but like at the end of the day with Navi, the mental fortitude, it just might slip because they know, like, we weren't really ready for this major. If this came in a few months, if we swapped out NPL, or if he just got a lot better, maybe they had a chance. But like, it's hard. It's still hard in some ways to count out s1mple. But like, I'm still not even entirely sold on the electronic IGL situation. Like, despite what Blade says that he's a better caller than Boomich was, I'm not seeing it. Like, what they did at Rio on their map pick on Ancient, they got like 3 rounds T side, and it was just like, it was really hard to watch that game versus. No, it was not even 3. They got 1 round T side on their map pick with electronic calling. Like, I don't know. I didn't see that in big games with Boomich calling. Like, they were winning a lot of stuff like that. So they to me feel like, of these top 5 teams, the most flawed, but they also have an incredible ceiling.
And you know, from the reviews, I did some, what was it at Rio? I did a piece of content where I asked every other IGL what they thought about every other IGL. And when it came to Navi, I didn't hear a single player say that Electronic was a better caller than they felt Boomich was, or they felt that Navi was always harder to play against when they had Boomich calling. And of course, like 2021, of course, like more fresh in their memory at that time. So like, that was when Navi were their strongest, but that also does say a lot about, you know, what we think about Navi right now.
The problem with that whole topic as well, to me, though, is like the 1-for-1 doesn't work because Boomich had Electronic playing really fucking sick without being, you know what I mean? So that's like the part if I'm Blade. It's like, we're not even comparing the fucking, well, this is absolutely apples to oranges, mate. This doesn't make any sense. See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, you know, be a pleb and don't.